The moment Ethan King spotted the familiar auburn hair across the crowded supermarket aisle, time stopped. 15 years dissolved in an instant. He gripped his shopping cart tighter, its wonky wheel suddenly the least of his worries as his heart hammered against his ribs. Hannah Zimmerman, his Hannah from high school, was examining a box of pasta just 20 feet away. "Daddy, can we get the dinosaur cereal?" 6-year-old Lily tugged at his worn jeans, pulling Ethan back to reality. "Not today, sweetie," he answered automatically, his eyes still fixed on Hannah. She looked different, more polished, her casual clothes somehow more expensive looking than they had been in high school, but her laugh as she spoke to the store employee was unmistakable. Ethan hesitated. Should he approach her? What would he even say? His life was a far cry from what he'd imagined during those late-night conversations they'd shared as teenagers. Back then, he'd been the star quarterback with scholarship offers, and she'd been the brilliant debate team captain with big dreams. Now he was a single father working 2 jobs to make ends meet after his ex-wife, Lisa, had left them 3 years ago. His home was a small 2-bedroom apartment, his car was 14 years old, and his savings account was perpetually hovering near empty. "Daddy, who's that lady you're staring at?" Lily asked, her voice carrying in the quiet store. Hannah turned at the sound and their eyes met. Recognition dawned on her face, followed by a genuine smile that transported Ethan straight back to senior year. "Ethan? Ethan King." She abandoned her shopping cart and walked toward him. "Hannah," he managed, suddenly conscious of his faded t-shirt and the stubble he hadn't had time to shave that morning. "It's been a while." 15 years, she said, her hazel eyes warm with memory. "How are you?" Before he could answer, Lily tugged at his hand again. "Daddy, introduce me." Hannah's gaze shifted downward, her smile widening. "And who might you be?" "I'm Lily King," his daughter announced proudly. "I'm 6 1/4. Hannah knelt to Lily's level, seemingly unconcerned about her designer jeans touching the supermarket floor. "It's very nice to meet you, Lily." "I'm Hannah. I went to school with your dad a long time ago. Were you his girlfriend?" Lily asked bluntly. Ethan felt his face flush. Hannah laughed, the sound as musical as he remembered. "We were good friends. Your dad was the coolest boy in school." "He's still cool," Lily declared loyally. "He fixes cars and makes pancakes shaped like animals." "That does sound cool," Hannah agreed, rising to her feet. Her eyes met Ethan's again. "So you're a mechanic now at Peterson's garage on Main Street," he confirmed. "And I teach auto shop at the community college part-time." "I'd love to catch up properly," Hannah said. "Are you free for coffee sometime?" The invitation caught him off guard. Please say yes," Hannah added quickly. "I'm only in town for a few weeks, visiting my parents before they moved to Florida." Ethan looked at Lily, who was nodding enthusiastically. "I could do Saturday morning. Lily has soccer practice at 10, so maybe around 8. Perfect. The old cafe on Elm still around." "Still serving the same burnt coffee," Ethan confirmed with a smile. 8 o'clock it is." Hannah reached into her purse a sleek leather thing that probably cost more than Ethan's monthly rent and pulled out a business card. "My number in case anything comes up." Ethan accepted the card, noticing the embossed gold lettering. Hannah Zimmerman, CEO, Zimmerman Innovations. There was a stylized Z logo that looked vaguely familiar, but he couldn't place it. "You run a company?" he asked, genuinely impressed but trying to hide his surprise. "Something like that," she answered with a slight shrug. "I'll tell you about it on Saturday." After she walked away, Lily looked up at him with a knowing expression far too mature for her 6 years. "She's pretty, Daddy, and she smells nice." "Yes to both," Ethan admitted, tucking the card carefully into his wallet. "Now let's finish our shopping before the ice cream melts." The rest of the week crawled by. Ethan found himself thinking about Hannah at the most random moments, while changing an alternator at work, while helping Lily with her homework, while staring at his ceiling at 2 a.m. Saturday morning arrived with Ethan waking before his alarm. He shaved meticulously, dressed in his least worn jeans and a button-down shirt that Lisa had once said brought out the blue in his eyes, and spent more time on his hair than he had in years. "You look handsome, Daddy," Lily commented as she sat at their small kitchen table, eating her cereal. "Thanks, sweet pea," he kissed the top of her head. Mrs. Garcia will be here in 20 minutes to take you to soccer. Be good for her, okay? Are you going on a date with the pretty lady from the store? It's not a date, Ethan corrected gently. We're just catching up. Old friends do that. Uh-huh, Lily said skeptically, returning to her cereal. The cafe was busier than Ethan expected for early Saturday morning. He spotted Hannah immediately, sitting at a corner table with two steaming mugs in front of her. She wore a simple white blouse and jeans, her hair pulled back in a casual ponytail, but something about her screamed sophistication. I ordered for you, she said as he approached. Black with 1 sugar, right? You remember that. I remember a lot of things, Hannah replied softly. For a moment, they just looked at each other, 15 years of life experiences between them. Then Hannah smiled and the tension broke. So how have you been, really? She asked. I've been good, Ethan said automatically, then revised. Well, okay, life didn't exactly go as planned. Tell me, she encouraged, so he did. He told her about the knee injury his freshman year of college that ended his football career, about dropping out when he couldn't afford tuition without the scholarship, about marrying Lisa too young and too quickly, about the joy of Lily's birth, and the pain when Lisa left them for a corporate lawyer from Chicago. I'm sorry, Hannah said when he finished. That must have been incredibly difficult. It was rough for a while, Ethan admitted. But Lily is the best thing that ever happened to me. And honestly, Lisa and I weren't right for each other. We both knew it. She just acted on it first. Hannah nodded, understanding in her eyes. Lily is wonderful. You've done an amazing job with her. Thanks. What about you? The business card says CEO. Hannah looked down at her coffee. Yes, I started a tech company right out of college. We developed a new type of battery technology for electric vehicles. It took off faster than anyone expected. Wait, Ethan said, pieces clicking together. Zimmerman Innovations, the company that revolutionized the EV industry. That's you, she nodded, a hint of pink coloring her cheeks. That's me. Hannah, that's incredible. Your company is worth about $30 billion at last valuation, she finished quietly. But I'd rather not focus on that. It's just money. Just money. The casualness with which she said it highlighted the vast difference between their worlds. Ethan earned enough to keep their small apartment and put food on the table, but he constantly worried about Lily's college fund and dreaded unexpected expenses like car repairs or medical bills. What brings you back to Somerset? He asked, steering away from the topic of wealth. My parents are finally retiring. Dad's selling his dental practice and they're moving to a retirement community in Florida. I'm helping them pack up the house. She paused. It's strange being back. Some things haven't changed at all and others are completely different. Like what? Like you, she said simply. You were always confident, always seemed to know exactly where you were headed. I never would have predicted you'd stay in Somerset. Life happens, Ethan shrugged. What about you? Still the same overachiever who color-coded her study notes and alphabetized her bookshelf. Hannah laughed. Guilty as charged, though these days I have an assistant who does the alphabetizing. They fell easily into conversation, reminiscing about high school memories, teachers they'd loved and hated, the senior prom where they'd gone as friends because Hannah had just broken up with her boyfriend, and Ethan had lost a bet with the football team. I had such a crush on you back then, Hannah confessed suddenly. Ethan nearly choked on his coffee. You what? Oh, come on, you must have known. I made you those ridiculous good luck cookies before every game. I thought you were just being nice. I spent 3 hours on those cookies each time, Hannah said with mock indignation. No one is that nice. I had a crush on you too, Ethan admitted, but you were so smart, so focused on your future, I figured you were way out of my league. That's hilarious because I thought the same thing about you, star quarterback, girls throwing themselves at you. I was just the nerdy debate girl. The beautiful, brilliant debate girl, Ethan corrected. Their eyes met across the table and something electric passed between them. Dad. Lily's voice broke the moment as she rushed into the cafe, still in her soccer uniform, Mrs. Garcia following behind. Lily, what are you doing here? Ethan checked his watch, surprised to see 2 hours had passed. Practice ended early because Coach Peterson got sick, Mrs. Garcia explained. I remembered you said you'd be here. Hi, Miss Hannah, Lily exclaimed. Did you know I scored a goal today? That's fantastic, Hannah said warmly. You must be a very good player. I'm okay, Lily said with charming modesty. Daddy, can Miss Hannah come over to see my trophy collection? Ethan felt the heat of embarrassment creep up his neck. Lily, I'm sure Hannah has better things to do. Actually, I'd love to, Hannah interrupted. If that's okay with you, Ethan. And that's how Hannah Zimmerman, Billionaire CEO, ended up in Ethan's modest apartment, admiring Lily's collection of soccer participation trophies and ribbon awards from school. Would you like to stay for lunch? Ethan offered, aware of the half-empty refrigerator and wondering what he could possibly make that would impress her. Only if I can help cook, Hannah countered. I make a mean grilled cheese. You cook? He asked, unable to hide his surprise. Just because I can afford personal chefs doesn't mean I use them, she said with a wink. I find cooking relaxing. It's concrete, unlike most of my work. They worked together in his tiny kitchen, Lily perched on a stool providing commentary. Hannah moved with easy confidence, finding utensils and ingredients without having to ask. When their hands occasionally brushed, Ethan felt that same electric current from the cafe. Over lunch, Hannah asked Lily questions about school and soccer, listening intently to the 6-year-old's answers as if they were discussing important business matters. Ethan watched them interact, something warm unfurling in his chest. Daddy, can Miss Hannah come to my school play next Friday? I'm playing a tree. Ethan opened his mouth to make excuses for Hannah, but she beat him to it. I would be honored to see you as a tree, Lily, she said seriously. Trees are very important. Will you still be in town? Ethan asked. I can be, Hannah replied, her eyes meeting his. I can work remotely for a while. After Hannah left, promising to call about details for the school play, Lily fixed her father with a serious look. I like her, Daddy. She doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby. I like her too, Sweet Pia. Is she going to be your girlfriend? Ethan sighed. It's complicated, Lily. Hannah lives a very different life than we do. Because she's rich, Lily asked bluntly. Ethan blinked in surprise. How did you know that? I heard Mrs. Garcia tell you. She said Miss Hannah's picture was in a magazine about rich people. Lily shrugged. But she doesn't act stuck up like Zoe's mom, and she makes good grilled cheese. Those are very important qualities, Ethan agreed, smiling at his daughter's logic. That evening, his phone pinged with a text from Hannah. Thank you for today. It was the most fun I've had in ages. Lunch tomorrow after Lily's soccer practice, and so began a pattern. Hannah joined them for weekend activities, a trip to the local fair, an afternoon at the park, movie night at Ethan's apartment. She never flaunted her wealth, arriving in a modest rental car rather than the private helicopter Ethan half expected, dressing simply in jeans and blouses that only revealed their expense if you looked closely at the stitching. The night of Lily's school play arrived, and Ethan found himself nervously adjusting his tie in the hallway mirror. You look very handsome, Hannah said from the doorway where Ethan had left her to make a final call to her office. Thanks, he said, turning to face her. You look beautiful. She wore a simple blue dress that matched her eyes, her hair loose around her shoulders. No flashy jewelry, no designer labels visible, just Hannah, looking like she belonged in his world rather than the corporate boardrooms she usually inhabited. Daddy, Miss Hannah, how do I look? Lily twirled in her tree costume, a brown leotard with green crepe paper leaves attached to her arms. Like the most magnificent tree I've ever seen, Hannah declared, kneeling to adjust a leaf that had come loose. The elementary school auditorium was packed with parents and siblings, the air thick with excitement and the smell of the industrial cleaner used on the floors. Ethan led them to 3 saved seats in the 4th row. Ethan King, a familiar voice called as they settled in. I heard rumors you were seeing someone new, but I didn't believe it until now. Lisa stood in the aisle, elegant in a designer suit, her new husband hovering awkwardly behind her. Hello, Lisa, Ethan said evenly. This is Hannah Zimmerman, an old friend from high school. Hannah, this is Lily's mother, Lisa. Zimmerman, Lisa's perfectly shaped eyebrows shot up. Not the Zimmerman Innovations Zimmerman, the same, Hannah said pleasantly, extending her hand. It's nice to meet you. Lisa's eyes darted between them, clearly reassessing the situation. Well, how? Interesting. We should get to our seats, Gregory. The play will start soon. As Lisa walked away, Hannah leaned close to Ethan. "Is it terrible that I enjoyed that a little too much? Completely terrible," he whispered back. "Also completely justified." They shared a conspiratorial smile just as the lights dimmed, and the principal welcomed everyone to the second-grade production of The Life Cycle of Plants. Lily was a wonderful tree, standing perfectly still except for the occasional dramatic wave of her leaf-covered arms during the wind scene. When it was over, she beamed at their applause, taking an extra bow that wasn't in the script. "Ice cream to celebrate," Hannah suggested as they waited for Lily to change out of her costume. "Yes, please," Lily exclaimed, appearing beside them still wearing half her tree makeup. "Can we go to Scoops?" "Anything for the star of the show," Ethan agreed. At the ice cream parlor, Lily happily demolished a banana split while regaling them with behind-the-scenes stories from the play. When she excused herself to the bathroom, Hannah turned to Ethan with a serious expression. "I need to tell you something." Ethan's stomach dropped. This was at the moment she would tell him she was returning to her real life, leaving their small-town interlude behind. "My board wants me back in San Francisco by the end of next week," she said, confirming his fears. "There's a major acquisition we're finalizing." "I understand," Ethan said, trying to keep disappointment from his voice. "You have responsibilities." "I do," she agreed. "But Ethan, these past 2 weeks with you and Lily have been—" She paused, searching for the right words. "They've been real in a way my life hasn't felt in a long time." "Hannah, let me finish," she said gently. "I don't want to leave, or rather, I need to leave, but I don't want us to end." Hope flickered in Ethan's chest. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I think I'm falling in love with you, again, or still. I'm not sure I ever completely stopped." The words hung between them, momentous and fragile. "Hannah, our lives are completely different," Ethan said carefully. "You run a multi-billion-dollar company. I fix cars for a living. So, you live in San Francisco in what I assume is some kind of spectacular house, penthouse apartment," she corrected. "Penthouse apartment, and I live in a 2-bedroom rental with carpet that was installed when we were in high school." "I don't care about any of that," Hannah said firmly. "I care about you, about Lily, about how I feel when I'm with you both." "It's not just the money," Ethan said, though of course the money was part of it. "It's lifestyles, expectations. You have board meetings and galas. I have PTA meetings and oil changes." Hannah reached across the table and took his hand. "I know it's complicated, but isn't it worth trying? I have private jets and more frequent flyer miles than I could use in 10 lifetimes. I could come here on weekends. You and Lily could visit me. We could figure it out. And what happens when you get tired of commuting, when the novelty wears off? Is that what you think this is? Novelty?" There was hurt in her voice. "I think," Ethan said carefully, "that you've been back in town for a specific reason with a set end date. It's easy to enjoy playing small-town life when you know it's temporary." Hannah withdrew her hand. "That's not fair. I'm not playing at anything." "I didn't mean it like that," Ethan backpedaled. The ice cream here is the best," Lily announced, sliding back into the booth. She looked between them, her smile fading. "Are you guys fighting?" "No, sweetie," Hannah assured her, though her eyes still held a hint of hurt when they flicked to Ethan. "We're just having a grown-up conversation." "About what?" "About how I have to go back to California next week for my job," Hannah explained. Lily's face fell. "Forever?" "Well, I live there," Hannah said gently, "but I was hoping I could still visit sometimes, and maybe you and your dad could come see me too." "Like a vacation," Lily perked up. "Something like that." The rest of the evening passed with a new tension underlying their interactions. After they dropped Hannah at her parents' house, Lily was uncharacteristically quiet in the car. "What's on your mind, sweet Pia?" Ethan asked. "Are you going to let Miss Hannah be your girlfriend even though she lives far away?" Ethan sighed. "It's complicated, Lily. Grown-ups always say that when they don't want to answer," his daughter observed. "I think you should be her boyfriend. She makes you smile more. And she helps me with my homework better than you do." "Oh, does she?" Ethan feigned offense. "She explains math differently, and she knows all the countries in Africa." "Very important girlfriend qualities," Ethan agreed, earning a giggle from Lily. That night, after tucking Lily in, Ethan sat on his worn couch staring at his phone. He knew he should call Hannah and apologize for his reaction at the ice cream parlor, but pride and fear held him back. What future could they possibly have? He was rooted here: his job, Lily's school, the modest life he'd built. Hannah belonged to a different world entirely. His phone rang, startling him from his thoughts. Hannah's name flashed on the screen. "I'm sorry," they both said the moment he answered. "You go first," Ethan offered. "I shouldn't have sprung all that on you at Scoops," Hannah said. "I know this situation isn't simple." "And I shouldn't have implied you were just playing at enjoying our life here," Ethan replied. "That wasn't fair." A moment of silence stretched between them. "The thing is, Ethan, I meant what I said. I'm falling in love with you, with both of you, actually." "Hannah, no, let me finish. I know you think our lives are too different, but maybe that's exactly why this works. You keep me grounded. When I'm with you and Lily, I'm just Hannah. Not the CEO, not the billionaire, just me. Do you know how rare that is for me?" Ethan closed his eyes, absorbing her words. "I'm falling for you too," he admitted quietly. "But I'm scared, Hannah. I'm scared of what happens when the novelty wears off. When you realize that my life is always going to be budget constraints and working overtime to afford Lily's soccer camp. What if I told you I've been thinking about opening a research facility in Somerset?" Hannah asked. "The land is affordable, the tax incentives are good, and it would create jobs in the community." "You do that." "I've been considering it for a while," she said. "Not because of you, that would be crazy even for me, but because it makes good business sense. Meeting you again just pushed it higher on my priority list. So you'd be here more often." I'd split my time. "San Francisco and Somerset. It could work, Ethan, if we want it to." Did he want it to? The question seemed ridiculous. Of course he wanted Hannah in his life. She was brilliant, beautiful, kind to his daughter, and made him feel alive in a way he hadn't in years. "I want to try," he said finally. "Really?" The hope in her voice was unmistakable. "Really. But Hannah, I need you to know something. I will never be comfortable with your money. I'll never let you pay my bills or buy me expensive gifts. My pride won't allow it." "What about gifts for Lily?" Hannah asked practically. Ethan hesitated. "Within reason, I don't want her getting spoiled." "Agreed," Hannah said quickly. "Though I reserve the right to set up a college fund for her that you are not allowed to argue with." "That's non-negotiable," Hannah finished firmly. "Consider it an investment in our future, our future." The words sent a shiver of anticipation through Ethan. "Can I see you tomorrow?" he asked. "Without Lily, I think we have more to talk about." "I'd like that," Hannah said softly. The next evening, after dropping Lily at a sleepover with her best friend, Ethan picked Hannah up for dinner at the nicest restaurant in Somerset, which was still modest by Hannah's standards, he was sure. "You look beautiful," he said as she opened the door. She wore a simple black dress that somehow looked both elegant and approachable. "Thank you," she smiled. "You clean up pretty well yourself." Over dinner, they talked more concretely about how a relationship might work, the logistics of distance, schedules, expectations. The more they talked, the more Ethan began to believe it might actually be possible. "There's something else we need to discuss," Hannah said as they lingered over dessert. "Lisa," Ethan tensed. "What about her? She called me this morning." "She what?" Ethan's fork clattered against his plate. "Apparently she did some research, confirmed who I was, and decided to reach out woman to woman." Hannah made air quotes with her fingers. "She wanted to warn me that you were, and I quote, just a small-town mechanic with no ambition who would drag me down." Ethan felt his face flush with anger and humiliation. "Hannah, I'm sorry. I told her that was exactly what I loved about you," Hannah interrupted. "That you chose to prioritize your daughter and your community over chasing some arbitrary definition of success. That you rebuilt your life after she abandoned you both, and did it with grace and dignity. That you're the most genuine, caring man I've ever known, and she was a fool for not seeing it." Ethan stared at her, speechless. "Then I told her that if she ever spoke about you like that again, I would make it my personal mission to ensure that every charitable foundation in Chicago knew exactly what kind of person Gregory's wife was. I might have implied that would be bad for his law practice." "You didn't," Ethan said, a slow smile spreading across his face. "I did," Hannah confirmed, unrepentant. "I'm not proud of threatening her, but I won't stand by while anyone belittles you, especially the woman who hurt you and Lily." In that moment, any remaining doubts Ethan had about their relationship vanished. He reached across the table and took her hand. "I love you, Hannah Zimmerman. I love you too, Ethan King." 6 months later, Hannah's research facility broke ground on the outskirts of Somerset. She now spent 2 weeks each month in town, staying in a modest house she'd purchased 3 blocks from Ethan and Lily. The arrangement gave them space to maintain their independence while building their relationship. On weekends, they were a family attending Lily's soccer games, having picnics in the park, working on the old Mustang that Ethan had been restoring for years. During the weeks, Hannah was in San Francisco. They video called every night, with Lily insisting on giving Hannah detailed accounts of her school day. "I think it's time," Hannah said one evening as they sat on the porch swing at her house, watching the sunset after Lily had gone inside to use the bathroom. "Time for what?" Ethan asked. "Time for you to visit San Francisco, both of you. School lets out for summer break next week." Ethan hesitated. Despite their strengthening relationship, he had deliberately avoided entering Hannah's other world. "I know what you're thinking," Hannah said gently. "But Ethan, it's just a city, just an apartment, it's still me." "I know," he said. "It's just scary," she finished for him. "I get it, but we can't build a life together if you only know half of who I am." She was right, of course. "Okay," he agreed. "Lily will be thrilled. She's been dropping hints about seeing the Golden Gate Bridge for weeks." "Has she now?" Hannah smiled innocently. "I can't imagine who might have put that idea in her head. You two are dangerous together," Ethan said, pulling her closer. "You love it," Hannah retorted, resting her head on his shoulder. "I do," he admitted. "I love you both." 2 weeks later, Ethan stood in the private terminal of San Francisco International Airport, holding Lily's hand as they waited for Hannah, who had flown out ahead of them to prepare for their visit. "Daddy, is that Miss Hannah's house?" Lily pointed through the window at the skyline visible in the distance. "No, sweetie, those are just buildings. Miss Hannah's apartment is in one of them. There she is." Lily broke free and ran across the terminal to where Hannah had just appeared. Hannah scooped her up in a hug, then reached for Ethan, pulling him into their embrace. "Welcome to San Francisco," she said, kissing him lightly. "Nice airport you've got here," he joked, gesturing around the luxurious private terminal. "Very fancy." "Wait until you see the apartment," Hannah warned. "But remember, it's just a place." The just a place turned out to be a stunning penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay, minimalist furniture that probably cost more than Ethan's annual salary, and an indoor garden that made Lily squeal with delight. "This is." Ethan trailed off, overwhelmed. "Too much." Hannah asked anxiously. "Different," he settled on diplomatically, "but beautiful." She relaxed slightly. "I was thinking of selling it, actually. It's not very practical for a family." "A family?" Ethan raised his eyebrows. "Well, when you and Lily visit," Hannah clarified, though her blush suggested she might have been thinking longer term. The week in San Francisco was a revelation. Hannah balanced tourist activities for Lily with glimpses into her professional life. She took them to her company headquarters, a gleaming tower of glass and steel where employees greeted her with genuine respect and warmth. She introduced Ethan and Lily to her executive team without pretense or explanation, simply saying, "This is my family." On their last night, after Lily had fallen asleep in the guest room surrounded by souvenirs and stuffed animals, Ethan found Hannah on the balcony, staring out at the glittering city lights. "Penny for your thoughts," he said, joining her at the railing. "I was just thinking about how lucky I am," she replied, leaning into him as his arm circled her waist. 10 months ago, I was successful by every external measure, but something was missing. Then I ran into you in that supermarket. Pretty sure it was Lily who spotted you first," Ethan corrected. "I was too busy trying to figure out how to afford both cereal and fresh fruit in the same week." Hannah turned to face him fully. "Ethan, I know you still have hang-ups about the money discrepancy, getting better about it," he interjected. "You are," she acknowledged. "But I want you to know something. All of this," she gestured at the penthouse, the view, the implicit wealth. "None of it means anything compared to what I feel when I'm with you and Lily in that small apartment in Somerset, eating grilled cheese and watching Disney movies." Are you saying you'd give all this up? Ethan asked skeptically. In a heartbeat, Hannah said without hesitation. Though I'd prefer a compromise where we get to have both worlds. Both worlds, Ethan repeated thoughtfully. You know, I've been offered the position of department head at the community college. More money, better hours. Ethan, that's wonderful. And Peterson is talking about retiring next year. He's hinted that he might sell me the garage on a payment plan. You'd be your own boss, Hannah said, understanding the significance. I would. Between the two jobs, I'd be making enough to afford a decent house. Not a mansion, but something with a yard for Lily, maybe a guest room for when a certain CEO visits. I like the sound of that, Hannah said. Though maybe eventually we could find a more permanent arrangement, Ethan took a deep breath. Actually, I've been thinking about that too. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. This isn't fancy. It's not a diamond that needs its own insurance policy. But it was my grandmother's, and she would have loved you. Hannah's eyes widened as he opened the box to reveal a delicate vintage ring with a small sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds. Hannah Zimmerman, I never expected to find you again, and I certainly never imagined you'd love me back. Our worlds couldn't be more different, but somehow together we've created something that feels right. Will you marry me? Tears filled Hannah's eyes as she nodded wordlessly, extending her trembling hand. Is that a yes? Ethan teased gently as he slipped the ring onto her finger. That's a definite yes, Hannah confirmed, her voice thick with emotion. On one condition. Name it. We split our time between both places. I won't have you giving up your community, and I'm not ready to leave my company entirely. Deal, Ethan agreed, sealing it with a kiss. Can I be the flower girl? Lily's sleepy voice came from the doorway, where she stood in her pajamas, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Were you eavesdropping, young lady? Ethan asked, trying to sound stern but failing completely. I heard talking, Lily defended herself. Are you getting married? We are, Hannah confirmed. How do you feel about that? Lily considered for a moment. Does this mean you'll be my stepmom? If you want me to be, Hannah said carefully. Lily nodded decisively. Good, you're much nicer than my real mom, and you know more stuff. Ethan stifled a laugh as Hannah knelt to Lily's level. I will never try to replace your mom, she said seriously. But I will always love you and be here for you. Is that okay? Lily threw her arms around Hannah's neck. It's very okay. As Ethan watched the two most important people in his life embrace, he marveled at how completely his life had changed in less than a year. From struggling single dad to engaged to a billionaire CEO, it sounded like a far-fetched movie plot. Yet here they were, creating a family that bridged two worlds. It wouldn't always be easy. There would be logistics to work out, compromises to make, and undoubtedly moments of culture clash. But looking at Hannah and Lily together, Ethan knew with absolute certainty that it would be worth it. Sometimes, second chances came in the most unexpected packages. And sometimes, the love you thought was lost forever was just waiting for the right moment to find you again.